Hey everyone, thanks for learning to play games. My name is Lance, and in today's video I want to teach you how to use another enemy pack in Shadows of Brimstone. This one is the Takobake Cannon, and it is an absolutely brutal enemy that you can add to your games. This one is nasty both at range as you would expect from a cannon, and at close range or in melee combat, as the crew is no pushover either and can deal out some serious damage to your heroes. So in this video, I'm going to take a look at what is included in this pack and explain how the cannon works and how you fire it, resolving both a hit and a miss result. As always, if you find these videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we can continue to grow, be able to produce this content. If you want to get notified anytime I drop new videos, including additional videos for Shadows of Brimstone, hit that notification bell as well, and that'll let you know when I drop some new stuff. Let me know in the comments down below what else you want to see around this. I'm going to be trying to cover more of these enemy packs, as I really want to dive back into Shadows of Brimstone. It's been a while since I've had a chance to get it to the table. And this is a great opportunity to really get into that as we're hopefully waiting for the release of the new adventure packs that I got to see at Gen Con and I was a backer of as well. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of this. Is this particular set of videos helpful to you? Are there other packs you'd like me to cover or ones that are giving you trouble? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's head to the table and I'll teach you how to use it. Let's start by looking at what is included in the pack. So first off, you're going to receive the miniature, of course, which will include the cannon and 2 crew members and a large base. Then you're going to receive the reference card that is double-sided as usual, with one side having the regular information and the other side being the brutal side. You're going to get a reference card for how to use the cannon and the explosive cannonballs, and I'll go into more detail and teach you how to use this a little bit later in the video. Next, you're going to receive 2 cannonball tokens, and then the 7 threat cards you can add to your threat decks, including 2 epics, 2 high, 2 medium, and a low. I do want to point out a couple things with this. If you are just adding this to your collection, if you want to use the epic cards, some of them do require 2 cannons. If you don't have 2 cannons or choose not to buy 2 cannons, you'll simply get another elite status if you draw this card. Some of the other cards are also going to require you to have the spearman. If you don't have the spearman, then you're simply going to resolve the other effect on there, which is normally going to have you draw a threat card of a certain level based on the card that you're using. But for those of you that are wanting to add this to your collection and want to make sure that you have everything, then you might want to pick up some spearmen along with it, depending upon what threat decks you're going to be using within it. Next, let's take a closer look at the basic version of this cannon, and it is absolutely brutal. This is something that you're going to want to engage as fast as possible and try to bring down as quickly as possible. Otherwise, it's going to potentially do some serious damage to your characters, as you would come to expect. So first off, it is going to be pretty slow at Initiative 1, so that is the one advantage you have going into this. But it has a plethora of nasty abilities. First off, it causes fear, so any hero that starts their activation adjacent is going to take 2 horror hits. From there, it is considered artillery, so with that, the cannon follows the rules for all ranged enemies, so it means that you're going to randomize which hero is attacked during the turn that it has line of sight to, and each new turn it's going to target a different hero or a different randomized hero. From there, it is a heavy siege cannon, which means that it is going to make ranged attacks, and I'll show you how to work that a little bit later, but these are nasty attacks. And even if you get adjacent to it, its crew is not shabby at close combat and is going to use its combat score instead. So it's going to potentially be throwing 4 dice at you at melee 4. So even then, even at adjacency where it's not going to shoot you, its crew can do some serious damage. Otherwise, if it doesn't have any ranged or line of sight to crew member or to the characters, if you think just hiding away from it is a solution, it has the siege weapon ability. So if the cannon has no targets in line of sight for its attack, it's going to draw a growing dread card and add it to the stack instead. So even then, like, getting away from it isn't necessarily a good option. And then finally, it is tough, which means it is immune to critical hits. Moving into its different stats, it is a pretty slow enemy at only moving 2, and it's fairly easy to get away from, but it is going to have some decent abilities with its range at +5 and a melee at +4. In combat, meaning against the crew, it's going to be rolling 4 combat dice and doing d6 damage. It has a hefty defense at 3 with 18 health to start with. And things only get worse from there as you start adding different elite skills to it. They're going to improve it, including giving it better combat abilities, adding additional benefits to its range and melee to hit rolls, giving it more health, and so on. All kinds of nasty stuff as you get farther down, including giving it all kinds of different effects for its cannonballs, such as Darkstone and everything else with the void blast. So a very nasty customer that you want to deal with as fast as possible. And the final thing I want to do is take you through an example turn showing you how the cannon works and explaining how the cannonball process is going to be handled. For this, make sure you have the reference card out, as it has a diagram on it, as you can see here. That is going to be very handy in determining the path of the cannonball based on where it is fired from. So then from there, let's go ahead and look at an example of this. Let's go ahead and say the cannon is it is its turn and it is going to fire. And again, it would randomize based on the heroes it has line of sight to, but let's go ahead and say that the monk was the hero that it is going to target for this particular turn. So from there, you're going to roll a single die on a ranged attack. As there are no heroes adjacent to it, it will make that ranged attack, and we'll see what it gets. And it rolled a 5. What do you know? For this example, the dice are magic. So with that, since it was a successful hit, you're going to place a cannonball on the hero's space that it is targeting, and you're going to determine how far that cannonball goes based on the chart. So again, it's firing a straight line, so that cannonball is going to bounce in a straight path. You're going to roll the peril die, and now it's going to tell you how far it's going to go. And it goes 4 spaces, so unfortunately our samurai chose poorly on standing behind the monk, and so that is the path of the cannonball. So from there, any model that is hit in that pathway is going to take D6 or a peril die. It's going to take a peril die worth of damage, and that damage is going to bypass both the defense and the armor of that model. And this is going to hit everything. So if there are enemies in that path as well, they are also going to suffer damage to that. Cannonballs do not care what they hit. They are going to go through and tear through anything and everything. Finally, the last part of that is wherever the cannonball lands, it is going to explode, handling or doing damage to the target in its space, as well as all adjacent spaces to it. So this is a nasty, nasty enemy that you're going to have to deal with. And you want to try to avoid it firing that cannon at all costs if you're able to. From there, the second part of this example is to cover what happens if there's a miss. So let's go ahead and take it back a few steps and see what happens. Let's go ahead and say in this example, we ended up rolling that 3. So in that situation, you're going to place the cannonball in its intended slot as usual, but then it's going to bounce 3 times. You're going to handle that just like you would any other bounce. So let's go ahead and roll D8 and see what happens here. So with that, we have a 4. So it's going to move over. Next, for the second one is a 2, which is going to move forward 1, and the third and final space is going to be a 5. So it would move diagonally back. In this situation, since it cannot move back, it is going to stay where it is. From there, you're going to handle it just like normal, with it going a certain distance. So 1, 2, 3, 4, placing that secondary one there, again hitting everything in its path, and then in its final location, it will explode again, this time again hitting the poor samurai in the blast from the cannonball. Well, I hope you found this video useful in learning how to use the cannon in your games. As always, if you have any questions or comments, post those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Also, let me know down there if you found this video helpful, or if not, what could I change in the video that would make it more useful to you, as I'm always looking for improving my videos, and especially with the Shadows of Brimstone, I'm looking to do additional videos in this series, of course. So if this isn't helpful, let me know what else you would like to see within these videos that I could potentially incorporate that would make them more useful to you. And until next time, I'll see you later.